All right, what's up, guys? My name is Terry Maverick.
Forrest Savage.
Today, we'll be talking to you about the one decision that changes your life. My buddy's been preparing on this one, really thinking about it. We've had a lot of very, very big conversations just about the choices you make. One thing that I really like that you do, Teddy, is one time we had to talk about the 30,000 decisions that happen in a day. And so I think you read in a book, right?
Yeah.
That in our day, we make about 30,000 decisions from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. So you have the decision when you wake up, go to the left and roll over, or go to the right, roll over, actually get out of bed, take a shower, scrub this way or scrub this way first. And it's those little decisions that make a huge impact. And we ended up doing like crazy math about like from the time you're born, you're making decisions without realizing it, just off of pure instinct, and how big of an effect that can have on you. But I guess what I want to ask you is, what do you think are... Okay, so is there anything in life that you think are like key points as far as decision making? Like, are there certain ages? Are there certain... What you kind of see where I'm trying to take this? What are key points in life that you think, or what are some key points in your life?
As far as like decision making goes?
Yeah.
I feel like the key point in life that I try to make with every decision is like, I try to think of the outcome or the end game of like the decision. Now that I'm aware of like how I make the decisions, that's how I kind of base it off at. So with most of my stuff, I really just every time I make a decision, I'm it's kind of like thinking like 5 steps ahead, low key.
Yeah.
But I've heard that like most like successful people, that's how they think. And like, as far as I'm saying it right now, that's legit like how my thoughts are. And then it sometimes get intricate because I get stuck on the 5 steps after, instead of just doing it and then just letting the 5 steps come after.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I definitely like that's kind of how like I do my stuff. With 30,000 choices that you have every day, and you kind of like repeat most of those choices like on a daily, like brushing your teeth and stuff like that, right? And we would listen to that podcast, and I think it was Tom Bilyeu and Ed Mylett, and he said that he heard Ed Mylett once say that like you're one choice or decision away from completely different lifestyle.
Yeah. And
that kind of like really what made me like love that. One, because it's like, wow, like just one, you know what I'm saying? Like that's all you need.
Yeah.
It made me delve into like, okay, what's that one thing then? And then or Ed Mylett said the one thing that you could do that could lead you to a completely different lifestyle will be to take total and uttermost complete responsibility for everything and literally everything that happens in your life.
Yeah.
And so how would you respond to that?
I think that, so one of my favorite people on the planet to subscribe to anything he has to say is Jocko Wilkins.
Oh, who?
And Jocko Wilkins.
Jocko Wilkins.
So him and Leaf, I can't pronounce his last name, wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. And then
Extreme Ownership.
Yeah. So their, I guess, sequel to Extreme Ownership is one of my favorite leadership books. It's probably my favorite leadership book.
Awesome.
And that's The Dichotomy of Leadership. And it was a lot like Extreme Ownership. They just clarified, they added more balance to it. Because Extreme Ownership was like the title. It was Extreme Ownership, you hold responsibility, blah, blah. But
that sounds like a great book.
Yeah, but a lot of leaders were holding people to these ridiculously high standards and missing a lot of the key points they were making.
Okay.
Like, yes, own it, but as a leader, you need to own it. The people under you need to buy in. Mm-hmm. They need to buy into the point to where they think it's their idea and they own it. And you need to give people freedom. And I think a lot of people were taking extreme ownership and using it to micromanage and control. And so once they saw people were missing the point of that book, they introduced The Dichotomy of Leadership. And it came with this crazy, crazy balance. And so the way the book is structured is Jocko and Leaf take turns writing chapters.
Very cool.
And then it has like basically 3 parts. They have the war story, because these are actual Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
And a lot of this, they were working very closely with the Marines, and so they're telling some very graphic, as much detail as they can go into, because obviously a lot of these missions were confidential.
Yeah,
but they're giving great war stories, and they're talking about people who were obviously great leaders who may have made some failing decisions and how things could have been corrected. And because I think we've had to talk about Jeff Bezos versus Elon Musk, and how, Elon Musk might be doing things that make him who he is, but to Jeff Bezos, those could be mistakes. And so is Elon Musk succeeding in spite of or because of? And so in this book, they go from the graphic war stories where they teach a lesson. Then they tell you a business story of the lesson. And I might be saying this out of order, but they give you a war story with the lesson, super graphic, great. I love the way the writing is. They give you the business story about them as consultants going into a business who probably rate extreme ownership, and it helped their business a little bit, but they need to go to that next level. Or maybe they didn't read it, but they're missing something. And so they go in, they analyze, the leadership is blaming the people. Usually they're like, if you just correct this in yourself, your people will fall in line. And then after they explain the business story, then they just bluntly tell you what the lesson is. And one of the biggest things in there is just owning up to your stuff and taking control of things. And I think when you're talking about decisions, that's a key point, is be decisive. If it's taking you too long to do something, just go in a direction, because a step forward is a step forward, even if it's a little to the left, and correct later. I'm a big subscriber of Ready, Fire, Aim. And you'll hit something.
You know what? I love the fact that you said that, because most people don't realize, and I actually how I'm if I need this, I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting. Most people don't realize inaction is a choice.
Yeah.
You're choosing not to do something about it.
Exactly.
And the moment you kind of realize that, hey, the fact that I'm not doing something, that's a choice I could fix, and that could change my life as well. Because I feel because if you realize, that's probably the best advice I could dare say I could give somebody too. Because when you realize that inaction is a choice and you control the inaction, then you have a chance to do something about it. It's not like life is happening to you. It's not like things just happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Everything that happened up to your life is because of the choices you made or didn't make. And if you accept total, complete responsibility for that, and realize that, hey, from this point on, I'm going to take less inaction and more action, or and also take complete responsibility of my action, then that could be really dramatic. So I really like the fact that that you mentioned that.
No, I completely agree. I definitely think inaction is a choice. I think sometimes people should be inactive, but anytime it feels comfortable to be inactive, I think is when it's bad. I think your body has a terrible way of telling you you're doing the right thing, and it's by giving you a flow of emotions that don't make any damn sense. Think about it. The best times to wait are when things are going to hell. The best times to buy are when no one else is buying anything. And it's because nature is no, keep things the same. But if you want to blow up and you want to grow, you've got to challenge the current dogma of society. You've got to challenge the norm. And that's just that's how leadership works. That's how, I think there needs to be a balance. I think there needs to be someone who can manage things well and someone who can lead things well and shake things up. And I think in each person, we need to constantly shift between those hats and those roles if we want to live a balanced life. Because there are times in life where you need to settle down and buy a house and be stable and blah, blah, and raise a family. But when your kids get to a certain age to where they need to experience things, you need to shake shit up. You need to take them on a vacation. You need to, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's the same thing in businesses. There are
Awesome.
phases when it's time to expand. And when you're expanding, you need to go crazy. You know, you need to find the best deal. You know, you need to drive, buy, absorb. But then there's a point to where the way the world's set up, and the way the economy is set up, the way your business is set up, it's time to start trimming off the fat. Some things don't need to be here anymore. And you've acquired so much that you have a high cash flow. So now let's drop things. So that way the cash flow is still high, but the liabilities and expenses start to go. So as you start to sell off these businesses, they become part of that cash flow, and they become more like net as opposed to gross. And so sometimes you want to expand, and on a business aspect that leads to a higher cash flow. And then sometimes you want to manage and critique and refine, and then that starts to trim off the fat.
Yeah.
And now you have higher. And then at that point, you're left with less of a business, so you're a smaller company, but you've got a huge amount of capital to effectively distribute to a certain place. You know, decisions. So I think the biggest thing about decisions is time and place. Where am I at? What do I need to do? What's best? So I think that's a really, really cool thing.
Time and place. I love it.
What do you what are some of the things you've learned? What made you so passionate about having a talk like this?
I mean, because I feel like every day I always meet people who feels like life just happens, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I like, and that's why we made the awareness video, because I wanted to get people just aware of like kind of like the power that they control,
Mm-hmm.
And like how legit every waking moment you have an opportunity to do something about it. But again, we talk about this in action. You choose not to do it, and you feel like, and essentially, I'm always passionate just about like any time I can like give somebody advice on like how to essentially lead a better life. You know, I'm like big on like empowering people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all starts with the mindset that you have and the choices that you make on the daily. Which is why again I was really passionate about having this talk, because Albert Einstein, his favorite quote, you know, the definition of insanity: doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. Most people do something over and over again subconsciously. So if you make them conscious that, hey, I actually have, like, low-key, I wake up every day and I think about how many choices I have. I don't obviously count them, but I'm subconsciously thinking about it.
Oh wait, you don't count all 30,000? Shit, damn. No, I'm joking.
So if I can get just a couple people more aware about like, hey, this is exactly like, you know, what you have. Hey, if you start now and start making the right choices and take this time to read a book, learn a new skill. People out here talking about I'm bored. I'm like, yo, like, we live a quarantine life because, you know, we like do so much like learning and stuff like that. Like, if you take this time, you could essentially learn a new skill within 7 days.
Be great.
You know? Like you could literally like be like, all right, you know, this is happening. What are some things that I could do? Because your choices, like the reason why I'm sorry, but the reason why again I'm also really passionate about this, because like choices leads to a habit, habits leads to a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So if you change, if you literally start with the beginning, if you change the choices that you're doing, change the actions that you're doing, and it just snowball effects into like you having a totally different lifestyle that this couldn't have affected you, because we're not really affected because we work from home, business is actually booming, all because of the choices we made. Now this is not to like brag or anything, it's just if you get somebody aware, you know, and I know that we might be repeating ourselves, but like sometimes I'm starting to realize that like it's not really a bad thing saying something over and over again, because that's how information gets stuck into your head versus like you saying one thing and kind of just like in one ear out the other ear, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's kind of like what really made me like, and 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 I also know you would have really enjoyed this because the like your habits are different. I mean, the amounts of books you read, just like your train of thought, how you think is completely different. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty like I assume and I knew that you would be a great value to like just add on to this podcast and just like tell people like kind of like, hey, this is from my standpoint, this is what's making me successful, or this is what I've learned from the successful people, how we're like quoting Ed Milet and Tom Bilyeu and such. So
very cool, very cool. Yeah, no, that's so true. That's really true. That was good stuff. That was good stuff. I like a lot of everything of what you said.
Yeah.
I like a lot of everything of what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done some stuff on like I said, I like have written down some like little stuff. So I like have written down here that if you want something new for your life, obviously it's very attainable. You can have something new. You can have all the things that you want, but you're gonna have to work your ass off like how we're doing, and you're gonna have to make the right decisions, which is why we started with choices. And most people feel like just because they're a good person, they deserve everything in the world, that everything should just come to them. And the concept of hard work is often not portrayed as it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of people think they're working hard and they don't. And sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but,
go ahead.
So, I was hanging out with someone one time and he was like, it's really impressive how self-sufficient you are and how much you accomplish.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, you just don't do anything, because I was like, you think I'm this really efficient, really productive person. And I was like, there's someone who does everything I do times 10, who has a family that's happy with them, that loves their kids, whose kids are gonna grow up to be great people, and I was like, and that's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting to be able to do everything I can times 10 and still balance a loving family and still feel like love. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people think that hard work is the person who's putting in 90 hours a week, whose family is like, do you love us? And I'm like, there's someone who's doing everything that's taking him 90 hours to do. They're doing it in 2 hours a day and spending time playing softball with their child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that like when you're making decisions, it's about making the best decision at the time. And then like you said, 5 steps in the future. How in 5 steps, when my plan goes through, can I keep this up, but in a way better way? So you got to constantly be learning from yourself, improving on yourself, and adding to yourself. And so I think everything you said was great. I think this was a great idea of like something to talk about. I wasn't like, you're more like, what are we gonna talk about playing and I'm more like, just talk to me and I'll think of something. And so I'm always interested to see kind of where things go and like where it takes my mind. But I think that was a very great topic.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cause like it like with this whole topic, it kind of like puts in everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we talk about choices. We talk about like what a snowball is affecting to.
Yeah.
And also you asked me like what I think about, and it's crazy because I said I think about the end goal 5 steps in the future. You think about time and place at the moment, and that was pretty interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because we both kind of like give different answer, but like it was like the right answer. And I'm like you said, like I'm a planner, and and it's because like as we're growing, I try to embody the principle that I'm telling people. It's like, you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And also it's more like we went to Guerrilla Business School, and they tell us like when you start a business, what's your end goal in mind? Like, and I love the fact that our copywriter says that to us all the time. Like, that's how I know. Like, you know, and so it's like most people don't plan because they don't. It's very hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
And I've always told people this. People always tell me like, oh, like now just figure out, but like, you gotta kind of have a vision of where you're going with this, where you're, like I feel like for both our companies, we kind of have this vision of where we want to go, and I love the vision because it's like far fetched. It's not like anything small, as long as like the vision isn't small, I'm going to support it. You know, like I can't do small. Like so, I love the fact that like you think huge as well.
I think because the thing about like unrealistic is it's only unrealistic because it doesn't exist. And I think if you're not reaching for something that doesn't exist, you'll never create something great.
You never create something in like literally everything that we have is because iPhone, like we literally doing like people are literally doing the impossible every day that people said wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why people feel like impossible is still in the book. Like
I'm 1,000% sure that the slaves in Jerusalem, if I would just throw one of these in a time machine back, they'd be like, what is this? What do you mean? Like, how would I use this? They gonna start beating rocks with it, and it breaks. The screen cracks. Why is this so powerful? It's, every book in the palm of your hand at once.
Yeah. That's really cool. Do you have anything else to add on to like, kind of like a leaving remark for, the thing we just talked about, like just. The one decision that could change your life and kind of like everything.
I think it all just comes down to, I think if you make one good decision a week, you'll be up 52 for the year.
Would you mean one great decision? Because and the masses of.
I think it has to be great. I think if you minimize your bad decisions and are consistent with your good decisions,
I like that phrase.
You'll do a lot because so I was reading this habit books, which I can't remember the title of, but it talks about epigenetics, and it talks about how doing certain things trigger things in your genes, which triggers the production of certain chemicals, which leads you to a certain emotional response. So things like smoking. So when you smoke, your brain stores things a certain way. All your bad habits are stored a certain place. All your good habits are stored a certain place. So when you go smoke, it triggers other bad habits, like waking up late, like you know what I'm saying? When you do things like exercise, it starts triggering good habits, like waking up early, like and and we can see this in our own lives. Like when we're exercising, people are waking up on time. When we're partying and drinking, we wake up later, you know what I'm saying? And it's cool to have both experiences and the balance of both. It's just a matter of what do you need at this moment, So I think it's about being consistent with your good habits, and because you need to do something wrong every once in a while just to feel a little bit alive. At least I do. Maybe everyone doesn't, but I need a glass of wine sometimes. I need a beer sometimes. I need a shot of tequila sometimes. I definitely need a shot of whiskey from time to time. You know what I'm saying? So
anything possible.
Anything is possible. I need to go out with my homies and we need to get lit. You know what I'm saying? And so but we don't always need to do that though. Like at some point we need to prosper and thrive too.
For sure.
And so I think if you do your bad habits in moderation, and constantly are consistent with your good habits and grow on those, and make the bad habits a reward. Like, hey, you grow your business by 10% this week, buddy. You get a drink and a baddie. So
what if I have a bad habit like robbing a bank? So I'm gonna work for 7 days. Rob a bank this 8th day.
Well, as long as you can deal with the consequences of your action, I have no problem with how you make your livings.
Take ownership.
Exactly.
That's a joke. But yeah, definitely love everything that we told them. You definitely want to start taking control of your actions. You want to make better decisions. And what I mean by taking complete control and ownership of your action, I mean all of it. No matter what goes on in my life, and it's kind of crazy that I've been doing this for years now. I don't blame anybody for what happens to me. I take complete I take complete control of it. Like no matter how bad it like seems, like like breakups, whatever. I take control of it just because, not to like put shame on me or harm me or like hurt myself. I'd rather not let it be like, oh, like this. Like, I don't want anybody else. I don't want to have to blame it on somebody, or like it's not even like I'm blaming it on myself. I don't want to I want to feel like I could have done something about it. And at the end of the day, it's true because I could have done something about everything in my life. You know what I'm saying? So the more I know that, the more I'm just like, okay, well, this is the lesson that you learn from this, and this is how you're going to do it next time. And just like, I feel like it's also better for processing good and bad things that happen to you. Just because, again, I have like, what's that quote I was saying? It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to what happens to you. So I take that into big consideration with like the actions I take and everything as well. And it kind of gives you like a lot of power and stuff, and just like expands your capability of like your mind as well, of like what you thought you were capable of once you started processing things in a certain way like that. But yeah, that's probably like the most important thing I'll probably tell people. Like, just realize that you are in complete control.
And if you're not, you should just decide to be.
Yeah. And if you love your life, just know you're making a good choice. If you don't, then just know you have the opportunity to make better decisions, starting from right here now. So with that being said, guys, we'll see you on another episode. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, share the video, subscribe.
For sure share. Because I feel like we're saying some fire shit, and I'm not trying to say that it's some fire shit, but like it is some fire shit, and so it should definitely be shared.
Yeah.
Just for the betterment of society.
Yeah, honestly, you never know who this might help.
Yeah.
Like, and this is like one of our biggest things.
For sure help me if you share. Stop.
Yeah, this is like one of the biggest things why I also started like, I guess, a podcast and stuff like that, or why we started a podcast and why we started giving back values, because you really never know who might hear this message. I'm so grateful for just anybody I listen to. Like, if I feel like it's full of value, I'm like grateful for it, So definitely hope this impacts somebody. Until next time, we'll see you guys.
Yep. Peace.